All right, here we go. Shout out to the man Flynn. He says, question for you guys. Would you rather re-sign Young and trade Aiyuk or re-sign Aiyuk and let Young walk? I love Aiyuk, but I'm leaning Young right now. Whew. And I'll be honest with you. I do think that Young's going to cost a little bit more if he continues to play this way. 49erscap.com, which awesome site. They did like a projected contract for Young, and it was like 4 years, 22 million a year. I think Aiyuk would be a little bit less than that. I need to look up a projection there. But if we're just operating off this very simple trade Aiyuk, keep Young, or let Young walk and keep Aiyuk, what are your thoughts, Wayne?
It's definitely a hard decision, right?
Yes.
Because when you look at Brandon Ayuk, he may be the true number one wide receiver that the 49ers haven't had in a long time. But I'm starting to question, is that what this offense is even built off of? And I know that Kyle Shanahan, I know that John Lynch really care about the trenches. And if it isn't an offensive lineman that's going to help them keep moving forward, or a defensive guy and Chase Young, like we're talking, I think everybody in the faithful really like what we saw on Sunday, and I think everybody's starting to understand that you can't block them all. And if they have the opportunity to keep Chase Young in this building, I think that they go for it. And I would actually take Chase Young over Brandon Ayuk. And this is not a shot to Brandon Ayuk, but I feel like the Niners offense is just built off of guys who can catch the ball and make something happen. And when you still got Debo Samuel, maybe Ronnie Bell could turn into something like that. Like as a route runner, they have guys in there, and then they can still address the wide receiver position in the draft. They got a first round pick, they got a second round pick, and so they got to find a way to get some money, to be cheaper going forward in the future. I say put the stock on the edges. I thought the rule was you pay edge rushers, you pay left tackles, right or left, and you pay the quarterbacks. I thought that was the rule. And the reason why you're paying a guy like Christian McCaffrey and like Debo Samuel is because those guys aren't running backs and wide receivers. They're weapons. Is Brandon Ayuk a weapon, or is he just a true number one wide receiver? I don't think this offense is built for a true number one wide receiver. If it was, Brandon Aiyuk wouldn't be having 55 yards per game. Like that is, they would go to him every single freaking play as they can. Now, this is not a shot at Aiyuk, John. I'm shutting up because I'm gonna tell you right now, Aiyuk is open on every play.
Everyone.
Every play. He's a dog. He's a blocker. He's this. He's that. But can the 49ers offense continue to groom wide receivers like that and find special things in those wide receivers? I think that's the replaceable piece that the 49ers are going to look to replace. And it's unfortunate, especially if the production of Chase Young continues to trend upwards.
Yeah, I just looked up on Spotrac what Aiyuk is projected, 20 million. So, pretty close. 22 million for Young, 20 million for Aiyuk. And, Greg says if they sign Young, that'd be 100 million a year invest in that defensive line. That does not bother Shanahan or John Lynch. I don't know if you meant that as a negative. I don't think they see that as a negative. And, the notorious GAV, shout out to Kyle Juszczyk touchdown. I was thinking about you, brother. He says pay Aiyuk. There's not a wrong choice here. My thing is, you ever see radio? You ever see
Absolutely.
radio? Whenever
Absolutely.
they ask him
Cuba
what type
Gooding
of
Jr.
pie he wants, what type of pie you want? Both. I want both.
Right. I want both. That's my answer. But you told me I had to pick one.
I know. I'm cheating. I got to bend the rules here. If it's either or, part of me wants to. I'd probably keep Aiyuk. His track record, his longevity, in-house, doghouse. He's ideal. You
Love
remember when
Ayuk.
they drafted him and it was COVID year and Kyle Shanahan high-fived nobody?
Yeah.
You remember that?
I remember.
Like, this is Shanahan's dude. Now, and again, I've said this about Aiyuk in the past. The last 3 weeks did not do Aiyuk favors. When Debo was out, Aiyuk could have elevated and been that guy and made a lot of money, and he did not. He played well, but he didn't do what they needed. So I don't know, man. I'm hoping you can restructure some stuff. You can figure some stuff out. This is a great problem to have, and I can't believe we're talking about it after this game, but that's where our mind goes. We saw something that we loved, We got it on the cheap. We want to keep it all. You got to finesse some stuff. And maybe it's not an Aiyuk or, maybe it's not an Aiyuk or what's it called? Young conversation. Maybe there's some other
Maybe it's a
areas
Trent
that could
Williams.
change.
Maybe he retires.
Maybe Trent,
Yeah,
Kyle
maybe you
Juszczyk
move on from you.
calls the
Oh my
plays.
gosh, you
I
took the
mean,
words out my mouth, right? And so,
we
like,
don't know.
right, we don't. And this is not. I don't want people to think, oh, Breezy doesn't want Aiyuk. No, 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 no. I absolutely do. But if I had to pick one, like, I really like I really love the defense teeing off the way that it does. I'm so used to not seeing a Jerry Rice in this offense. Like, I've gotten accustomed to it. And I'm not saying Brandon Aiyuk can't be that, which I feel like he can, but is this offense built that way is the question. The offense is built for the quarterback to get the ball to the open man. And yes, does Brock and Aiyuk have the right chemistry? Yeah, they probably have the greatest chemistry probably on the team. But if I had to pick one, I mean, I'd rather put the money into that defensive front and let them keep teeing off and having other people get opportunities to score. I mean, Aiyuk is going to Aiyuk gets open so often, but is he giving you the score production that you need? Who's scoring the more of the touchdowns? Is it Aiyuk? Is it Debo? Is it Christian McCaffrey? Is it George Kittle? There's so many options and weapons here. Can they replace an Aiyuk inbred right there at home with some of these guys that they drafted? Or do they look to use another pick to hold them off for another 5 years and a wide receiver with their first round pick? There's so many options.
There
I
are.
mean, would you take the defensive end in the first round or the wide receiver in the first round? You could do both. I mean, you could do either one, I'm saying.
Yeah,
Option.
and part of me says I want to choose left tackle. That would be my
Right,
ideal
right,
one.
right. You get what I'm saying?
So,
Right.
but not at losing Trent. And I love this. Paul, Big Papa, says I don't choose between Chase or Aiyuk. I
There
choose
it is.
Prague. I love it. And I got pulled up the cap hits for next year.
Mm.
There are things that you could do. Trent Williams is the biggest one. You don't restructure him, obviously, because he's like almost on the back end.
Correct.
But Armstead's restructured more than I can count. Debo would be the obvious one to me. You think Debo can continue to play for another 3 years? You could tack on another 2 years and take that $28.5 million cap hit down to about 12. That's pretty easy to do. You extend them 2 years, $6 million a year, add a void year on top of it. Now you're getting dangerous. Can Debo's body hold up for that long? All that kind of stuff. But Fred Warner's not going anywhere. You could definitely extend that and push them there. Like,
George
you can
Kittle's
get
getting older
creative.
too,
I don't know if you want to do that with Kittle or not. I don't
he's
know. He
getting
did it
older.
for free
That's
for
what
the
I'm
Bosa
saying.
deal.
Do you move on from Mooney Ward? Because you got these young guys there. I mean,
There's options.
there's options.
But
That's why Big Papa says I choose Parag. And I agree.
Yeah. And you look at that Nick Bosa cap hit next year, $14 million.
It's not
like
bad.
That's not bad. That is really, really not bad. And right here, Vince, he says, yeah, restructure Debo and Warner, keep both. There's a way to do it. But you're starting to get into the whole territory of superstar, superstar, superstar. And if you're hitting on the back end of the draft, that's great. We don't know because we always redshirt our guys. Maybe Ronnie Bell, who's been the Aiyuk guy. I mean, do you want Ronnie? We know Ronnie Bell can block. He had a great 20-yard catch this game. I was sitting next to Wayne. He about busted my eardrums. There is Wayne, and there is Wayne with Michigan players.
I feel bad
for
the
Wayne with chicken wings, and all of them are level 10.
Yo, you didn't have tacos once this weekend. I felt bad for the people in front. They were like, "Who is number 10?"
Oh, like, he screamed it out.
I felt really bad.
Oh, all right.
I felt bad.
The 49ers Rush Podcast.